time to pull up a chair and talk some Dynasty football. I am your host, JJ Wenner, and this is the Rider Dynasty Podcast. Now, tonight is a very, very special night for the RoD Pod. Tonight is our 100th episode. And to celebrate this momentous occasion, we're going to try to honor the whole team at Rider Dynasty and everybody who had been part of the family. And what better way to kick this off than with the OGs, the co-founders of Ride or Dynasty themselves, Ryan Bickerstaff and Michael Kloss. Now, Ryan, I was going to ask you about where Matt Stafford was going.
Mm-hmm.
We know where he went.
LA Rams.
Live reaction.
I'm let down. I'm not surprised by it considering the Lions' new GM came from the Rams organization, but I'm a little let down about the idea that Jared Goff is going to be the starting quarterback for the Lions. Like, if they're a 6-10 caliber team with Stafford at quarterback, this is a 3-13 team with Jared Goff at the helm. And so at this point, I don't know what I'm hoping for. Is this like a sink for Sam kind of season here, or I don't know.
Hope for Howell.
Hope for Howell. Suck for Slovis, whatever it might be. But yeah, 2 first-round picks, a third-round pick. I would have been happy with like a first-round pick and an extra piece, and that just wildly exceeds my expectations. So I can deal with it. I'm happy to see Stafford go to a good organization where I think he's actually going to have a chance to win a Super Bowl.
Now, Ryan is working on some big things. Keep an eye out for his work on Reddit, RiderDynasty.com, or his Twitter, the Devi Dirtbag. Now, how are you, Ryan?
I'm actually doing very well. So one of these big things that JJ just hinted at is I'm launching a YouTube channel in the next couple of weeks. I'm just tying up a few final things. I'm researching my initial projects, and I'm going to be producing my first videos here very soon. So keep an eye out for content to drop in the very near future. And I have some big plans for this, and so I'm pretty excited about it.
So are we. Now, sitting around a campfire and getting high up in the Rockies, Michael Kloss. Michael, you can't be happy with Nick Sirianni, right?
Yeah, I watched that press conference, or at least I watched the Twitter portion, I think, that's flying around. And initially I thought, oh God, what have they done? But in retrospect, someone reached out to me on Twitter and was just like, you guys got to realize you might kill it at your job, but you might not be the best public speaker. And on one side, if you kind of ascend to that level, maybe you're nervous. I mean, maybe, people go through that kind of stuff. So I just want to say, let's give him a little bit of a chance to get past the intro press conference before we start passing judgment. People in Indy loved him. Let's see what he's got.
Absolutely. Now, Michael is the king of start-sit advice. Hit him up on Twitter at Michael S. Kloss. Now, Michael, how are you? How is your family?
Very good. Very good. I am having just a great time. I used to be more of a big content creator and obviously, on this pod. And just to watch you guys, just grow and, be a part of the foundation of it. And then just to watch it absolutely take off as it has. You guys just have a ton of talent. And you guys are fantastic about breaking down some of the best stories and, posting the best news. I really am excited to see where you go. So, again, thanks for letting me be a part of this 100th episode. Thanks for letting me be a part to, that kind of grew and shape it. And I am just so excited, really, to see you guys flourish. Everybody on the pod here.
Every day before I say anything, I always look at my bracelet that says WWMD. What would Michael do?
You might want to return that.
Usually I ignore it, and that's why I still get in trouble. So I'm trying to be better. Now, before we start the festivities, do me a favor. If you like the pod, tell a friend. of course, like and subscribe, leave a review, but just tell a friend, right? Mention us in a conversation. Hey, somebody over at Rider Dynasty said something good on a pod. Give them a listen.
They've been doing that a lot on Reddit these days. I've seen a lot. I've even texted Ryan and showed him. It's growing. It really is.
It is, and it feels really good. So follow us on Twitter, at Rider Dynasty. You can check out our website, riderdynasty.com. Expect a big ramp up in March with articles getting you ready for the draft. Now, before we get started, let's check in on the latest in injury news with Oh, wait, what's that? I'm sorry, we are cutting straight to an emergency episode of Nicked Up.
Nicked Up! With athletic trainer Nick Mirabito.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back for another segment of Nicked Up. I am certified and licensed athletic trainer Nick Mirabito here. It's been many moons since my last appearance on the pod. You guys may remember Nicked Up as the segment where we went through injuries for the week, talked about players, risks moving forward. You may also remember me for some of my scorching hot takes that came back to bite me. My Cam Newton would be the MVP if he was healthy. Tough one. Even worse, my Derrick Henry is the Derrick Henry of running backs. That one still keeps me up at night. That one was not great. But really, just here to say congratulations to the guys. 100 episodes. That is amazing. You guys are doing great work. For all the listeners out there, you are getting some of the best fantasy information that you could possibly get. And so congratulations to the guys for 100 episodes. Here's to 100 more.
All right. Thanks, Nick. It was so good to hear from you. We miss you. Keep teaching all those kids down at Temple. They need better professors out there. So great work.
So we are going to start off the festivities taking a look at a lot of our dynasty rosters and us three in particular, right? It's really a cool idea. Like we're going to get into a whole lot of things of just structure and actually applying real examples to real teams, right? How are we going to approach these? You're going to find out.
Yeah, so we just decided to pick one of our favorite or most in need of help rosters. We're going to explain the roster moves that we've made, kind of our initial strategy going into drafting it, and going to figure out where to go from there to get these teams over the hump or to get them into that contender type conversation.
So let's start with my team, right? And again, I probably won't stop saying thank you because I appreciate just to be, again, the time to be a part of this is really neat. But let's be honest, guys, I need a little bit of help here. And the reason I say that, as we kind of approach these rosters, I am stuck, and maybe you guys might bring in a rebuild or two or wherever you're at. I mean, I'm kind of cheating. I've kind of seen your rosters here, so you can kind of define it yourselves of what do you think it is. I am bringing a team, 12-team Superflex, half PPR, no point per carry, no point for first down, no kicker. It's not IDP. It's fairly simple, straightforward. Even though you have the Superflex scoring system in there. But I've got a team that I think is decent. A lot of people have told me it's a little bit better, but I can't seem to win with it. And I'm getting to the point where, do I need to overreact? Do I need to stay firm? And it may be something as simple as that. But I am lucky enough, JJ is going to give me his thoughts on it. And I respect that opinion because I am just stuck. And when you're stuck, it's not a great feeling. You're not excited about it. So my quarterbacks, and I'm going to rifle through this. So if you have to rewind and listen, I'll just try to visualize. My quarterbacks in the Superflex are Tannehill, Goff, Prescott, and Fromm. So Prescott still on the Cowboys that we know. Goff now is a member of the Lions. Tannehill on the Titans. Running backs, I'm going to read probably some of the major ones. Barkley and Jacobs. Josh Jacobs are my two starters. I've got Nyheim Hines, Wayne Gallman, Gus Edwards is in there. Mark Ingram as well. He's on the way out. I feel like I've got some strength in wide receiver. DJ Moore, AJ Brown, Michael Thomas. Crazy that I'm even mentioning him third. Michael Gallup, Jarvis Landry that kind of round out Laviska Shenault on there. And then my tight ends could be okay. Maybe I'm not. Mark Andrews, Logan Thomas, Eric Ebron, Nick Boyle, and Josh Oliver. I finished, what did I finish? 4th in this league. So I have 109, 209, 309. I haven't touched my picks. I've been real lazy on this team. JJ, this team makes me feel a little bit complacent and not scared, never scared, but just not wanting to make the wrong move to royally screw something up. But I can't win with this team either. Let me hear it.
Yeah, you're like the Indiana Pacers of a few years ago, right? Where they're always just finishing the bottom, like 7th, 8th seed, never getting a good draft pick. Okay. It's tough.
Yeah.
But looking at your picks, you obviously came in 4th last year. You have all of your picks. And that makes sense. Looking at this roster, it looks good. You have Tannehill and Prescott in a Superflex league. Mm-hmm. That's awesome. I have no doubts Prescott's going to be ready to start week 1. Now, Goff as your QB3 was good until a few minutes ago right. when he was traded to the Lions. And then you have, the carny, Jake Fromm, small hands, smells like cabbage. Obviously, that needs help. So we'll get there. Mm-hmm. Your running backs. Solid pair of running backs, Barkley and Jacobs. Gus Edwards, Chase Edmonds, Nyheim Hines. They're all safe bets in running back by committee backfield, so you're okay there. The rest were Jags. Mm. Now, your wide receivers are awesome. DJ Moore, A.J. Brown, Mike Thomas, Jarvis Landry. Then you have Gallup, James Washington, and Tim Patrick, all who are playing really well. LaVisca's a rookie. And he's going to have Trevor Lawrence next year. Your tight ends are solid. It's not a tight end premium league, so who cares? Mm-hmm. Your tight ends are fine. This is what I'm going to say.
Taking notes.
If Barkley wasn't injured, you might have won a championship last year.
Yeah, it was close. That was, it was like, if you look at it, it was like DJ Moore, A.J. Brown, Michael Thomas, Barkley, all at one point missed several games in a row. And then as soon as Prescott went down, what was that, week 4, 3? I don't even remember.
Mm-hmm. It was early.
As soon as that happened, I thought it was over, right? And this is where it hurts in a dynasty league. Is I wanted it to be over at that point, and then I just got lucky with, playing all of these guys in whatever correct order. Sleepers showing me, hey, who's the best manager of the week? Like, you managed 98% of your possible points in this league. And it was like, damn it. Should I have done something? I just kind of backed off thinking that it would lose, right?
I'm going to offer you 2 plans. One, if you want to be aggressive, and one, if you just want to sort of rebuild slowly. Okay.
Let's hear it.
And not even rebuild. Okay. I think your move is to try to trade at least one of your top receivers, but I would even consider moving 2 of them. So let's just say you keep A.J. Brown, right? He's a great stack with Tannehill. Leave him. Okay. You keep Michael Thomas. I believe people have started to lose their goddamn minds about Michael Thomas.
Gosh, yeah.
He's a great wide receiver. Last year he played with Teddy Bridgewater and was great. So you keep Michael Thomas. Trade DJ Moore and try to get a top 3 pick in the draft. Or maybe go after like a wide receiver 2 and get like a late first. Think like Kenny G and a late first. Sutton and a late first. Right? Somebody in that range. Then you try to trade Landry. If you can find a Browns fan, the Baker manager in your league, and try to get an early second, maybe like a late first, early second for him. So let's just say you get the 2-3. You got the 1-3. If you're using the Debbie Dirtbag's rookie mock draft 2.0, available exclusively on Reddit, you will have the option. I like that. You will have the option of Trey Lance or Justin Fields.
Right. Oh, you got some crap about that on Reddit. I think that's hilarious, Ryan, because man, if you could get Fields in a Superflex at 1-3. Not saying, again, you're right or wrong. I'm just, that's interesting. That is interesting.
right? So you move up there, you get one of those two, you have a solid starter for at least the next 4 years, which is all we really plan out for. If you didn't get the 1-3, say you got the late first and like a wide receiver 2, you grab Javonte Williams at 1-9 and Mac Jones with your next pick. So you're getting a starting running back, you're getting a starting quarterback, or at least Jones is going to compete. So you're starting to add that depth back. For the rest of your draft, if you have the 2-3, you can grab Terrace Marshall there, maybe Rashad Bateman. At 2-9, you can get the other Tar Heel running back, Michael Carter. He probably won't be there anymore after this week because he really showed out today.
Yes, he did.
So you might have to take Trey Sermon or Chuba Hubbard.
Michael Carter showed out today, you said?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Michael Carter had a really good day.
Yeah, and something else, not to spoil anything coming up here, but I've been doing a film study, Dak Prescott versus Kellen Mond, and Kellen Mond ended up winning Senior Bowl MVP. So that's just one more among dozens of similarities between Mond and Prescott. So, sorry, get back to it.
I will be taking him. You have put him on my radar.
So, I think you could really rebuild your team with those 4 first and second round picks.
Yeah.
At 3-9, you would just grab the best wide receiver. 4-9, 5-9. I was actually going to suggest at 4-9 you get Kellen Mond if he's still there.
Yeah, I was looking at Elijah Moore around 3-9.
Mm-hmm.
What is it? Ole Miss, kind of little slot receiver. I'm excited to watch him play.
But what I wanted to say to you is even without those trades, even if you just keep your picks, keep your roster, you can add Mac Jones, Michael Carter, and Kylan Hill, adding 2 exciting running backs, a solid quarterback, and Prescott's healthy, so it's like you're getting a starting quarterback back. So I wouldn't overreact, man. This was a bad year for you.
No, it was, and I appreciate that. I think it's so funny. Everyone kind of thinks, yes, contender or rebuild, right? And there's gray area in that because you take a look at a lot of players on paper. I remember after the NFL draft last year, as soon as CeeDee Lamb went to Dallas, there was just a mass sell-off. If I'm reading Twitter and Reddit correctly of people's actual trades or at least what they're talking about, that everyone just kind of plummeted Michael Gallup. And what's going to happen again, at this draft that, actually makes moves. We just had that breaking news today with Stafford and the Lions. But again, things are going to shift. But I like that plan because you're taking those wide receivers and trying to convert them into other strong positional players that you look at and go, well, I could sit on them, but why not make the move? It made a lot of sense. That was aggressive. What is the safe plan, if I understood you correctly here?
Safe plan is easy. You just sit back, stay at your draft spots. You take Mac Jones in the first, Michael Carter in the second.
Okay, gotcha.
And Kylan Hill in the third.
No, I appreciate that feedback. It feels, I'm sure that you guys will find out here, when you sit in the seat in 5 or 10 minutes, but it feels good to have somebody else to look at it, get another pair of eyes on it,
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so next up is JJ. Your league, pretty cool name, actually. I'm going to read it. Gimli, son of Gloin, team in the Middle Earth Dynasty Football League. That sounds really badass. I'm a fan. Why don't you tell us a little bit about your team?
All right. This is probably, I think this is my biggest dollar league. 12-team, super flex, PPR, PPC, point per first down, tight end premium, Devy, no kickers, no IDP, offense only.
And the kitchen sink.
Yeah, this is the kind of league I really like. There's taxi squads. There's Devy rights. I've been in a rebuild. I kind of tore it down to the studs. I drafted veterans. I went veteran heavy in the draft to try to win early. Came in third. missed out. So I went into a rebuild because I ended up with a bunch of garbage. So, yeah, I mean, Ryan, I know you took a look at my roster. I have a lot of Devy players coming in this year, and I have a lot of picks. So I'm interested, especially with your ideas about Devy, with who I can take.
Just looking at your roster here, I rated your overall roster like a C-, like as it stands right now. You have some nice pieces. I like that you have like Sam Darnold, Jameis Winston very well could become a starting quarterback. And then you have Jacob Eason, who I don't know if he's ever going to get his chance, but he's one of those quarterbacks who isn't a starter that is a more attractive dynasty piece because of his upside. And then you have Sam Howell, who's an absolute stud, but he's not eligible until 2022's draft. So, but you at least have him on the way in the future, and you also have the 101 in this league. And even though it's Devy depleted, there is a certain stud quarterback that I have quite a bit to say about. That is essentially just being served up to you on a silver platter here. So moving along to your running backs, David Montgomery. I'm a big fan of David Montgomery. He's like a top 12-ish running back for me, so it's good that you have one of those RB1 type guys. Zach Moss is interesting. He's kind of a bigger, more powerful back. He dealt with a lot of injuries this year as a rookie, but he did some nice things. Keyshawn Vaughn, I know a lot of people are really down on him, but he landed in Tampa Bay with coach Bruce Arians, who doesn't really particularly favor rookies.
I forgot to mention, sorry, Ryan, that this is best ball.
Oh, this is best ball. Even better, because that makes your tight end group just that much better for me. Gus Edwards is just a solid. I mean, there are a few leagues where I regularly start Gus Edwards as a flex because, you know, there's always a chance he's going to get you a touchdown. He's always going to be good for 10 to 12, if not more carries per game. So he's just one of those guys that has a nice floor. And so that's always nice to have around, especially in a best ball. Royce Freeman is cuttable, in my opinion, but I mean, maybe he just needs a change of scenery. And
he's a free agent this year, so that's why I kept him. I just want to see where he lands before I get rid of him.
Good call. And then you have Chuba Hubbard coming in and Max Borghi, who has decided to go back to school for another year. He's a guy that has some pass catching upside at the next level. I think a lot of people look at him and go, oh, white running back that catches balls, Christian McCaffrey. And no, he's not Christian McCaffrey. I need to make that very clear. Max Borghi is not Christian McCaffrey by any stretch of the imagination. But Chuba Hubbard, I don't see him very much as a workhorse type, but he's very fast. I look at him as the kind of guy that's going to get maybe 8 carries a game, a couple of targets, and if he can hit the right hole and just turn on the jets, he can take it for a touchdown at any time. I don't really see him as being a guy who's going to shoulder a large workload. And then your wide receiving core is a little rough. You have a couple of Devy studs here, Jamar Chase and Devontae Smith, who are 1A and 1B. And this whole like Jamar Chase, Devontae Smith, like, you know, that whole argument, it's stupid. They're both going to be good. Like it doesn't, like, I don't think that gets said enough. And it's one of those things, like, if you have Devontae Smith rated wide receiver 1, it's like, look, I can't put everybody right next to each other. Like, when you're making a list, one has to come first, one has to come second. It is what it is. And I'm sorry.
Somebody's been on Reddit lately.
Yeah, just a little bit.
So jaded.
I'm sorry that I don't always get to put like your favorite guy in the correct order that you wanted. I don't make content to fit your reality. I apologize. But Jamar Chase, Devontae Smith, that's awesome. And then you have Bryan Edwards. I mean, who knows? Maybe he just needed a year to acclimate. But, Jacoby Myers has done some nice things. Marquez Callaway. he's a decent dart throw. So is Jalen Guyton. Like if Justin Herbert, develops eyes for him. I know they show a little bit of chemistry down the stretch there. So KJ Hamler in a best ball, yes. In a regular set your lineup every week league, no, thank you. Kelvin Harmon, Anthony Miller, John Ross, Freddie Swain. I'm gonna butcher this one. Olamide Zacchaeus.
That's pretty close.
All right, right on. So yeah, we need to do a little bit of work on your receiving core here, but good thing receivers are kind of my thing. So I'm gonna hook you up in a few minutes here, and then your tight ends. Now that I am aware this is a best ball, I'm actually really digging your tight end group, because one of these guys is gonna go off every week. So Darren Fells, Cole Kmet, who you've actually converted me to become a fan of JJ. He has skyrocketed up my dynasty rankings. Foster Moreau, he's done some nice things over the last couple of years. Donald Parham, again, Justin Herbert, get me all the pieces on that Chargers offense. I want them all. And then Irv Smith Jr., Minnesota, they got a new offensive coordinator, if I'm not mistaken, right? Yeah,
that is correct.
So yeah, Irv Smith with a new coordinator, maybe the coordinator will value more athletic tight ends that are able to do wide receiver like things. And CJ Uzomah, him and Joe Burrow showed some nice chemistry before he, like Burrow, had an unfortunate season-ending injury. And then Pat Freiermuth. I like Pat Freiermuth. Everyone's on about Kyle Pitts. I don't think it's that far off, to be honest. Maybe in terms of dynasty production, but in terms of tight end prospect in general, like Freiermuth is a much better blocker. Like he's going to be that, like he looks the part of the guy who's going to get drafted at the late end of the first round, early second, and just be a solid starter for 10 to 12 years. So with that, your roster, it needs work, but you do have some nice pieces in place here. You have a starting quarterback, potentially two, and you have 101. So what I would do with the 101 and 3 Devy slots, I'm not going to fail to mention those. We're going to fill all 3 of those Devy slots. But 101 here, we're taking Zach Wilson. And this is similar to how in the 2020 offseason rookie drafts, Joe Burrow was the 101, not just in regular super flex leagues, but in even Devy depleted leagues. So Zach Wilson is a similar gift for those of you with the 101 in a Devy depleted league. Now, that's a pick I would not be giving up for cheap, if at all. I am very convinced Zach Wilson is a franchise quarterback.
I like that. I definitely need QB help. So
yeah, help is definitely on the way. I am very high on Zach Wilson, and then you have 110, and here it might be kind of a reach to suggest that he might be there still, but Terrace Marshall Jr. is a guy that in most draft classes that aren't just ridiculously stacked at receiver, Terrace Marshall Jr. would be considered like a top 3 wide receiver prospect. I was bummed that he opted out before the Bama game, but I understand why he did it. So Terrace Marshall Jr. at 110, you have 112 also. I would go with Kadarius Toney here if he's there. Kadarius Toney gives me Brandon Ayuk vibes. He's going to be...
JJ, did you know that you were getting a master class here for free? This guy's got your picks all lined out. Ryan,
I'm just writing them down.
Ryan,
I'm just writing them down.
I just want to apologize in advance. I did not go to the depth that you did when describing your team, so sorry about it.
So, yeah, if this is the kind of depth that you're looking for, be sure to check out my YouTube channel in the near future here. Just take the best receiver available at 112. And then 201, Michael Carter. Again, I wrote this yesterday, so Michael Carter will not be there at 201 anymore. I noticed that in the Devy players that have been taken in this league, David Bell has not been taken yet. I'm not sure I'd take him at 201, but I'd probably go best player available at that point. And then at 301, take either David Bell from Purdue or John Mechie from Bama. At 301, just grab the top Devy receiver available, and those happen to be the next two in my rankings that have not been taken yet. And then at 401, I'm looking at a running back with some upside here. Elijah Mitchell from Louisiana, the Ragin' Cajuns, I want to say. He was a part of a very heavy rotation down there, and he was still very productive. So that's just you're kind of throwing up a Hail Mary that he gets a shot, but I like Elijah Mitchell's skill set a lot. I'm sorry, I skipped pick 310. And at pick 310, I'm looking at Kyron Williams, the running back from Notre Dame. And then to wrap things up, at 410 here, we're gonna secure your quarterback spot for the future. And I have two players I want to highlight. So the first one is Haynes Kane from Texas A&M. He profiles similarly in terms of like his athleticism to Justin Fields, actually, like 40-time vertical shuttle, like 20-yard shuttle. And then if you really, really want to dig deep into the bag of tricks, somewhere along the line in your Devy draft this offseason, Bryce Young's going to get selected. If you want to just kind of play like a joker card, if you will, take a look at Jalen Milroe, a 4-star dual threat quarterback prospect from Texas. That would probably get your team up to about a C+. If a few things go right, you might be able to sneak into the playoffs pretty quickly. So, yeah.
Yeah, great.
Yeah.
No, my plan was a 2-year ascension from the rebuilding depths that I am in. Now, last up is Ryan. Now, Michael, you got to take a look at Ryan's team.
And it's interesting, Ryan. So let's start. You are obviously in a rebuild. You know that.
Yes.
Do you want to talk about it at all? You want to tell me? You want to run it down for me, or you want me to jump right into it? Why don't you tell us a little bit about it first? I want to hear your thoughts right off the bat. First thing that comes to your mind. Go.
I like where this team's headed. Like, I made a few kind of haphazard trades throughout the season in this league that ended up not really biting me in the ass. Like I was trading off, I was trying to gain as much draft capital as I can, and I ended up getting 4 first-round picks in this league, along with 201 and 205. So, and I still have some pretty nice pieces. I have Tua Tagovailoa, I have Sam Darnold, DeAndre Swift, Cortland Sutton, Laviska Shenault, Tyler Boyd. There are some nice pieces here. So, I don't know. But I'm not really sure exactly. I have an idea of what I want to do, but sometimes you just need a fresh set of eyes on a project. So yeah. What do you got for me?
Well, again, you and I are friends, and we throw a lot of stuff around. And I think to be your friend, I would say, because I'm gonna follow this with a question, but my first initial instinct and look on your team is you got to start a roster, man. You have to put people out there that you got to try to win, unless you're really going off the deep end because of your picks, right? So I want to ask you, and I want your thought because it's going to determine where I go. And when you think of a rebuild, I think this is the first question you have to ask yourself. And it's, how long do I think this is going to take me, realistically, to just at least get across the 50% line or the compete line? What's that time frame for you on this team? I got to know that first.
If my draft goes the way I think it can, I can be a playoff contender.
Pretend like it does.
I'm in the playoffs this season.
Okay. So here's I've got two options for you. And the first option is keep things the way they are. Use the picks that you've acquired because that's in the master plan, if you will. Use the picks you've acquired. So you're looking, again, with a QB stable of Tua, Sam Darnold, and Dwayne Haskins, all of which in a superflex. In some way, you just, again, Watson goes to Miami, right? I guess Tua would probably head back to Houston if that ever happens. Darnold could get replaced. Yeah, you're right. Maybe he could go somewhere. And Haskins might be a year away. He's a Steeler now, right? So he could be behind Roethlisberger. But you also could be in a place you never know of not starting anybody. Your 101 is going to be Trevor Lawrence. Your 104, after talking and listening to you, very well in your mind could be either Fields or Wilson if you wanted it to be, right? So
yeah, if Wilson's there, I'm taking.
That's right. That's two good shots right now, and I think that puts the biggest Band-Aid on your team as possible all of a sudden right there. Then you're looking at your two late picks, and you're probably safely of what you're going to do is you're going to go some as for the best value, it'll probably be best value wide receivers at the end of the first, right? If you look at, would Bateman or Moore be there?
Yeah, Jalen Waddle would be up there.
You know, again, and I think that's the smart move because you're not going to want to reach for a running back at that point in time. And again, you're just building yourself value. And I'm okay with you grabbing your person as long as it lines up in value. You're just not going to screw yourself and go pick, like, again, Elijah Moore right at 110 because you like him when you could get him 2 rounds later.
Right.
So you're still going to take some wide receiver. You have to address your running back situation. And I wasn't going to say this before because every schmo, right, myself included, is so high on DeAndre Swift right now because of Anthony Lynn, right, and new coaches and other non-returners or just whatever. He's skyrocketing right now. I don't know what Goff is going to do. Maybe that even makes him better. But that's the thing. I think you need to capitalize on that. And I say trade DeAndre Swift to some sucker right now that's going to give you more than he is worth. He's a good player, but I was listening to I've referenced this already once, I think tonight, maybe it was off air, but I was listening to, is it Chris Robin on your running back recap show?
Yeah, Chris Robin.
And he, a Detroit fan, right? I remember his words, like, this organization is dysfunctional. Of course I'm going to be excited for the guy. I'm going to throw my weight behind the guy. But, man, it's also the Detroit Lions. Maybe think about, you don't have to do it, but think about capitalizing on that and get 2 players that you are 100% sure of.
Oh, that's
just
smart.
a thought. Your wide receivers with Sutton, Chenault, Tyler Boyd, and Corey Davis. At least those 4 I feel like are weekly starters. You're in a tight end premium with people that I guess I don't think are going to even see the field other than Dawson Knox. At least you've got Josh Allen, who's now probably locked into double the pass attempts that you might have thought coming into this season, right? I'm not a big fan of Donald Parham. I think that, he'd be good if Hunter Henry went down. Gerald Everett, correct me if I'm wrong, did he either just get cut or he was on the chopping block? So I saw some news about it. Maybe it's nothing, but
I think he's a free agent.
Okay, he's a free agent. Thank you for saving me there. Again, I'm not excited about starting this person or any of them. So I think that you could start addressing with your second or third round picks. It depends where Freiermuth goes. Probably in a tight end premium, he's probably going late first, early second. So maybe look at that.
I have 201.
Yeah, I don't think that's a bad move whatsoever. And then your guys better than I could tell you that, especially based off your 5-round freaking mock. 5 rounds, who does that? But you can look at that. my other option / where I want you to change your vision a little bit is I would love for you to, because you want to save a team through a draft. That's your nature. You're the Debbie guy. I want you to start looking at players that whatever situation they're in, they are very talented and already in the league, and it's a shift for you, right? I want to see an option is I want you to try to heal through a little bit more of something sure and not a dart throw. So I want you to look at players like David Montgomery, and if you had Swift with Montgomery and combine that, I think that would be great, but you could trade a couple of pieces or a couple of draft picks to be able to acquire a David Montgomery type. I'd really be interested, I think, in A.J. Dillon. I'm trying to grab A.J. Dillon wherever I can. I have no idea what's going to happen with the Packers. But that is one of those, again, it's this week or this past week, when everyone's eyes are on the stock market, that's getting a very, very low penny stock, right? And then having it moon because Aaron Jones, who everyone knows is a free agent, right? But that he goes. Well, he's still there right now. So why not throw out the weakest offer you can and see what happens, hold on to that small asset, and then watch it appreciate later. And if it doesn't happen, then all you did is you lost a small asset. So I'm looking at that, but there are a couple other names that people might think that I'm crazy that I'm targeting as far as running backs to help you out there. Is I'm talking about the Joe Mixon, right? Oh. Still 24 years old. Okay.
Yeah.
Nobody wants Joe Mixon right now. Joe Mixon could help you really quickly. Again, lowest he'll ever be right now. Miles Sanders, who knows what's going to happen with him? You could probably get him for his cheapest you possibly could. James Robinson, no one knows the future of the Jaguars right now. Are they going to draft another running back? Could you luck into another hyper-used running back? If you want Ronald Jones, I traded him for a second-round pick last year, and I was pretty happy with that. You guys talked an extensive amount of CEH. What is going to happen with him? What's going to happen when Damian Williams comes back? Is he still the asset there, but he thought he was? If somebody's sour about him, you got to inquire. Chris Carson every year continues to show out and gets just absolutely undervalued every year. But then again, you've got Zach Moss. I'm talking about that type of player, that could easily, with Singletary getting one injury, he shouldn't even be there, but you got that whole backfield. So those type of players that you own, Tony Pollard's, for your wide receiver core, there are three players that I would look at. Chris Godwin, right? Juju Smith-Schuster, and Brandon Cooks. Those three are, again, do you remember when Juju was the wide receiver 1 in Dynasty?
I was never on board with that, but yeah, that was pretty crazy.
But what was that, 2 years ago?
No, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Again, I want you to look at that. I mean, it's a large, I don't want to call it a tier because it's unfair to probably half of them, but I want you to take a step back from being the Devi guy and looking at picks, and I want you to look at that circle of players, the circle that's, hey, they've never been cheaper, but in ways they are proven. Maybe they had a bad year, maybe they didn't, but you need to look at that and start finding all of the players that, people went on Twitter and said, screw this player, I'll never draft them again. Those are the players you need to look for. Maybe not acquire, but the 205 plus Tyler Boyd for Juju. I don't know. Think about it. Again, you're making people actually make a decision when you could grab something there. I don't think that would plummet your team whatsoever. You're keeping the 101 and the 104, help your quarterbacks. I think that's just the easiest and smartest way to do it. But if there are quarterbacks in that type of range, and maybe you could throw them out yourself, but Joe Burrow's coming off an injury. Why not get Joe Burrow on your team, right? Russell Wilson will probably never be cheaper. It's a short-term fix, I don't think. But again, if you want to compete, I think that you start looking at proven players and not trying to heal during the draft as you might be apt to do. There are other ways to do that without sacrificing a majority of your picks. Now, to make some of these moves, you will have to use picks, and that's okay. But you can absolutely use those late firsts to really do some damage on a player that you know that you like. And again, we're talking about David Montgomery and Joe Mixon here. Again, they're not 25 yet. So you would be getting secure starters. You just have to believe in that. You know they're a secure starter, and there's really, I'd say, only place to go but up is too cliche. It's either that or they completely fail out of the league. So everyone's scared of doing that. I am never, but I don't rebuild in my 5-6 years of Dynasty. I don't rebuild through picks. So I know that you might have a tendency to do because of your skill set with evaluating college players. But I would say when everyone's afraid to do something, or I guess the better term is, when people zig, you zag, and that's a way I see that you can zag.
I appreciate that. Thank you. You gave me a lot of good ideas, and you're talking about like potentially trading DeAndre Swift and like go get David Montgomery and just kind of getting the wheels turning. David Montgomery plus what would I be able to get like in return to like move Swift? I could move Swift for David Montgomery and what?
Probably just David Montgomery.
Straight up.
I wouldn't give too much more for DeAndre Swift.
Okay.
See,
I don't know if I'd give anything more.
See, that's awesome right there. Is because you wouldn't, and I agree with you, but I think that somebody will. I think somebody would give you David Montgomery in a first for Swift. I bet you they would. I bet you somebody would.
That's tempting to float out there.
And you know what? This also comes with probably one last caveat, and that is start. You're thinking like right now, and then like not put this out there like in end of March and April, right? Unless I'm completely wrong, that I feel like picks appreciate as we get closer to the draft. I would still, you could put things out there, but you might want to sit for just a bit. This doesn't have to be quick. You can wait until we're talking NFL draft and just capture some poor sucker.
Absolutely. Don't be afraid to reach out to any of us with these types of questions. You can reach us on Twitter. You can reach us on Reddit. I really want to thank both of you, Michael and Ryan, for kicking off our 100th episode with me. It honestly means so much. This was a blast. Just being able to see you shoot the shit again. This was fantastic. And now part 2. All right. Well, back to life, back to reality. Yeah, that's right. That was a little throwback to honor the first half of the pod. Nobody? However do you want me? Nobody knows that song?
Before
I'm
my
alone
time.
here. Soul to soul? No.
Nah.
Man.
Sorry, buddy. You're on your own this time.
Just making things up
Well,
over there.
I really am. But I can't believe I'm about to say this, only because I wrote it down before you both insulted me. I am joined by some of my favorite pod co-hosts tonight, Don and Eric. Don, how are you doing, my friend?
Man, it's good to be here, and what an honor it is to be on the 100th. This is big deal stuff here. There's someone who came along kind of mid-go and has just enjoyed the ride here. This has been awesome.
Man, I'm so blessed to not only have you as part of the pod, but to have you as a friend. I mean, just the fact I get to talk to you almost every morning is such a fantastic thing. So thank you. Thank you for everything you've contributed, sir. Except for when you make fun of me. Also with us, Eric. Eric, you are my finance guru. So can you tell me what happened with GameStop?
Oh, jeez. I don't think we have the time, JJ. A bunch of crazy brave people on the internet are trying to fight a hedge fund, and you know what? I mean, good for them, I guess, but be careful out there, people. That's some risky stuff going on.
Just because it happened once doesn't mean it will happen twice.
Maybe they'll finally give me more than a quarter for my video game now.
Joining us from the Rule of One pod, I guess. I never see all three of you in the same place, so it might be the Rule of One pod. Brendan Taff, how are you doing, sir?
I'm doing well. What's up, guys? I feel like I'm crashing a party with the OGs over here, but I'm glad to be here.
Oh, man. Yeah, please. You are very, very welcome anytime. You know, I just don't have the back anymore to handle going through a table, or else I would join the Bills Mafia, man. I am so, like, I don't know what it is. I'm just proud of the Bills.
We already have Jared on board. We already have Blair on board. There's always room for more people among Bills Mafia.
Man, I'm too fat to go through a table. I'd start breaking the ground, man. No, thank you. That's for you young kids.
We'll take it. I'll take it for you.
Well, to kick off the pod, let's get started with a visit from Kyle Allen and his next man up.
Next man up. We always pride ourselves on the next man up. We always talk about the next man up. It's the next man up league. Hey man, next man up. That kind of hurted me though.
What's going on, Riders? This is Kyle Allen, bringing you another edition of the Next Man Up Injury Update. This version is a little different because we are now heading into the offseason for the fantasy football year. Obviously, we have the Super Bowl coming up right around the corner, and I'll get to that later on this pod. But starting off, let's get some injury updates. First of all, we'll talk about Joe Burrow. He tore his ACL and MCL in Week 10 against the Washington football team. Thankfully, head coach Zach Taylor has said that he's been around the team facilities as much as possible, and he's doing everything that he can do at this stage of his rehab to be ready for Week 1. Joe Burrow's surgery was performed by the team doctor of the Los Angeles Rams, Dr. Neil L. Atrachet, and his rehab is being coordinated by Nick Cosgray, who's the Bengals director of rehab. Now, this is significant because Neil Cosgray was also responsible for assisting former Bengals quarterback and first-round pick Carson Palmer in rehabbing from his ACL tear. Now, Palmer was able to return and had a very good career after his injury, and we're hoping that Joe Burrow can have a similar outcome. Burrow told Colin Cowherd in an interview on his show that he expects to be ready and may perform in training camp if he's cleared to do so. So Week 1 is certainly not a lofty expectation for Burrow, but I would expect some preseason rest for him. Moving on to a duo of players and former teammates who both suffered ACL tears this season, we're going to talk about Saquon Barkley and Odell Beckham Jr. Barkley suffered his ACL tear in Week 2 against the Chicago Bears and also injured his MCL. The MCL did not require surgery, but he did undergo a procedure to repair his ACL. Odell Beckham, his former Giants teammate, tore his ACL in Week 7 against the Bengals. Barkley shared with ESPN that he plans to undergo rehab alongside his former teammate and good friend Odell Beckham Jr. and has expressed that they look forward to the opportunity to compete with one another in rehab and help each other get through the process. The expected recovery time for an ACL repair is roughly 9 to 12 months, which puts both of them ready to return at the end of August at best, giving them an outside shot at being ready to play for Week 1. But like Burrow, I would expect them both to be rested during the preseason. If they can be cleared, they'll probably work out with the team, but I wouldn't expect them to see them in any preseason games. That's it for the Next Man Up injury update. If you have any questions or want some injury updates on any other players, you can find me on Twitter at @KAllen_4.
Man, I love Kyle Allen. Thanks, buddy. Great to have you as part of the family. Now on to our main topic, the Super Bowl. The question for us is, tell me, who is going to win? What is going to be the score? And who is going to be the MVP? Don?
Well, what I'm seeing right now is the line is 3, which means they think it's KC, but to me, it's still KC. Better team, better offense, more dynamic, better playmakers across the deck. I think this is the new guard getting to say goodbye to the old guard. So I got the Chiefs.
What's the score?
For me, 34-27, respectable showing all around. KC on top.
And the MVP?
Mahomes goes into the game.
Gotta be.
There's only 2 possible outcomes here. It's either Brady or Mahomes. That's it. Doesn't matter what anybody else does. It's one or the other. And for me, I have to say it's the anointing of the next.
Brendan, what are you thinking?
I have to agree with the winner there. I'm going to be rooting for the Chiefs. I hope it's the Chiefs, and I think it will be the Chiefs. I'm going to go 31-28 because, like Don mentioned, the line is 3, and I'm not going to pretend like I know more than Vegas when it comes to the odds. They get right basically every time. If I did know more than them, I would be rich somewhere. I wouldn't be here. So I'm going to go 31-28 Chiefs, and yeah, I'd be lying if it wasn't Mahomes and the Chiefs won.
Wow, Eric, I'm hoping this isn't a sweep. Go ahead, sir.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm kind of scared to go for the sweep against Brady and his 6 Super Bowl rings. That seems like a bad idea. But that said, I'm going with the Chiefs. I love Mahomes. Brendan took my score, and I completely agree with let's not outthink Vegas here. But since it was already said, I'm just going to change it up. Screw it. Mahomes is lighting it up. He wins the MVP. Chiefs win 45-35. Let's have some fun.
That would be fun.
I should write these down. 45-35. What were you, Brendan?
31-28.
Don?
34-27.
All right. Gentlemen, I think it's going to be 42-41. I think the Chiefs are going to rally late, but unfortunately, Tom Brady's going to hold them off. Tom Brady's going to be the MVP. They're winning 42-41. I hope by me going against the grain, I am jinxing it. I want the Chiefs, but I think the Bucs have the firepower to match the Chiefs. They have the weapons, and I think Brady gets it done one last time. He's not going to retire because he will never walk away easily, but I'm thinking the Bucs pull this one out. It won't make me happy, but let's go to the crew and check in and see what they have to say. First up is Blair Perot from the Rule of 3 pod. Blair?
Hey guys, this matchup has the greatest of all time going up against the future greatest of all time. I see the Chiefs pulling it out in a high-scoring game that's going to be 31-24. The MVP is going to ultimately be the future greatest of all time, Patrick Mahomes. He's going to throw the ball all over the place and has shown that even when the Chiefs get down, they are never out. They were down against the Bills in the conference championships, and they were down against the Niners last year in the Super Bowl. I don't see the Buccaneers being able to keep up with that high-scoring offense and will eventually succumb to the pressure.
All right, thanks, Blair. Now, let's go across the Atlantic and check in with my favorite Scotsman, Mr. Duncan Smith. Go ahead, Duncan.
I have Kansas City winning Super Bowl 55 by 35-28, with Patrick Mahomes picking up his second MVP award in a row. Can Tampa Bay win it? Of course they can. It just seems unlikely that they will. Kansas City have what all great teams have, regardless of what sport you're talking about, and that's an extra gear, that ability to just turn it up when things get tough, and I don't see Tampa Bay competing with that.
They do certainly have a lot of firepower. I just think Tom is resilient enough to stick it out. Let's check in with Touchdown Tommy's favorite fan. Mr. Kyle Allen is back after resting up after giving us Next Man Up. Kyle?
So my Super Bowl winner is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, projecting a final score of 41-38 and the MVP being none other than the GOAT, Thomas Edward Patrick Brady Jr.
You can always count on Kyle Allen to have Tom Brady's back. It's just sad that I agree with you, Kyle. Next up, Mr. Matthew Walters.
Alrighty, so I have the Kansas City Chiefs winning the Super Bowl. I believe it'll be a high-scoring game to no one's surprise. Final score will probably be something like 35-31. Lots of offense. Think it'll be great.
I agree. I think it is going to be a good game. Let's check in with the Devi Dirtbag himself, back with his pick.
So I'm just going to keep it real with y'all. I think Tampa Bay is going to win the Super Bowl. It's going to be a close one, 31-30. I got him winning on a last-second field goal. Antonio Brown makes a spectacular and unlikely catch to get in the field goal range, and the rest is history. That reception will put AB up over 150 yards on the day to go along with his 2 touchdowns. He is named MVP. That's right, Antonio Brown Super Bowl MVP. Tom Brady wins number 7 and finally retires, thankfully, hopefully.
Hopefully. All right, Jared.
I think this game comes down to two narratives, and I think we're going to see if the NFL is, in fact, a bit staged, a bit put on. The Kansas City Chiefs are just far and away the better team here. It would make a lot of sense from a storytelling perspective for Tom Brady to get his 7th win, his first without Bill Belichick. But for me, this is going to be a game that Chiefs run away with. I've got it at 38-24. And I think that Travis Kelce comes away with the Super Bowl MVP. He's just a dynamic player. He'll set himself apart in this game.
All right, so you can see I'm pretty much alone in picking the Bucs. There weren't many of us. So the last segment I want to talk about tonight, I would love to know one 2021 rookie outside of the first round who are you particularly psyched about, right? Somebody who really gets your blood going, especially if you are someone who trades all of your rookie picks away, like your early ones. I'm not naming any names, but there are people who do that. Who should they be looking forward to? Eric, I'm going to let you go first.
Yeah, so you mentioned not having somebody in the first round. I'm kind of cheating here maybe. We don't usually talk IDP, but Micah Parsons is an awesome prospect this year. He is probably the number 1 IDP prospect that you could draft this season. And it just happens that in almost every IDP league you play in, you don't need to take an IDP player in the first round of your rookie draft. You probably shouldn't. That said, if you get into the second round, you need a linebacker. You can't beat Micah Parsons. He was an absolutely fantastic player at Penn State, was a really highly recruited defensive end in high school, actually, and he came to Penn State, moved to linebacker, and really was just very versatile. Was a great pass rusher, real big playmaker, forcing fumbles, forcing turnovers, big plays, big sacks. And I think in the NFL he has the potential to move around and kind of line up at defensive end on third downs maybe, or kind of line up as a stand-up outside linebacker, but then play inside on most downs. He can run really well, so he should be okay in coverage. His ball skills aren't great. I don't know how he'll do with interceptions. Maybe he didn't have any in college, actually. But he is just a really good attacking athletic linebacker who's can just be around the ball constantly in the NFL.
Don, who do you have?
I love the IDP love there. That's a great call. Guy who is totally position friendly and can go to any defense and still be a monster. I'm going to go down the running back depth chart here and give you a name. Jamondre Stevenson, running back out of Oklahoma. Big back, had some questionable timings here with some suspension issues for either conduct or some team rules stuff. Going to be in this draft and was just a beast this year for Oklahoma. If you watch the Red River Shootout, dude took it over. He's just a horse at nearly 240. Will probably play in the pros nearer to 230, but still maintains the agility that you like to see with a big back. He's a better prospect now than Zach Moss was last year, and you know how I feel about Zach Moss. So for me, Jamondre Stevenson is somebody I'm interested to see where he goes and how it all plays out.
That's a heck of a first name, Ramondre. I always draft on names, just as Lil Jordan.
Oh, you'll like it.
Brendan, who do you have?
I have a running back out of Louisville. I hope I'm pronouncing it right. Javian Hawkins. He is a big play threat with his speed and pretty good balance, even for his size. He's only 5'9", about 195, 196. So he won't really be a 20 carry a game guy because of his stature, but he can take any play to the house, and he's a real home run threat. And there really aren't that many guys anyway who are getting 20 carries a game now, and all it takes is one big play or two big plays to win you your fantasy matchup. So remember that name, Javian Hawkins.
Javian Hawkins, absolutely. I'll write that down because I need running backs in a lot of my dynasty leagues. So looking at just the regular 1QB rankings, I am surprised that Justin Fields keeps dropping. I'm not sure why. Right now, he's going somewhere in the late second round. But even in Superflex, even in the real NFL mock drafts, he just keeps dropping lower and lower as they move Zach Wilson up. I'm not sure why. Justin Fields looked great this year. He broke a bunch of ribs and didn't look great in the championship game. But as Drew Brees can tell you, it's hard to throw a pass with half your ribs broken. I think I know why he's dropping, which is unfortunate because I hope I'm not right about why he's dropping. But it seems to be a thing with quarterbacks in the NFL. Might not be as highly valued, but hopefully Justin Fields gets a shot with a solid team if he falls a little bit further in the draft. But I think he's going to be a great player on even one QB roster. So look for Justin Fields.
Yeah.
So let's check with the rest of our staff on who they have outside of the first round. Up first is Duncan Smith. Duncan, who do you have?
My rookie selection is Ole Miss wide receiver Elijah Moore. Moore already has a certain amount of infamy in college football circles after an ill-advised touchdown celebration drew an unsportsmanlike conduct penalty in the 2019 Egg Bowl, forcing an extra long game-tying extra point that was subsequently missed, costing Ole Miss the game. He's bounced back in 2020, recording 86 receptions for 1,193 yards and 8 touchdowns in 8 games before he opted out to prepare for the draft. In 3 years at college, Moore has never fumbled the ball. He has gotten better every season, showing consistent progression throughout his college career. To me, that shows that he can take that next step and develop in the professional game. He's a consensus 2020 All-American, leaves Ole Miss tied 3rd in receptions, 4th in receiving yardage, 6th in receiving touchdowns, and he's the only player in school history to go over 200 receiving yards in a game 3 times. Currently going in the 3rd round, he could be a great steal in your rookie draft.
Absolutely. I wasn't expecting to hear his name drop today, so thanks for the information, Duncan. Now back to Kyle Allen. Kyle?
One rookie past the first round that I'm very excited to see is Tylan Wallace, the wide receiver out of Oklahoma State. He best aligns as a Z receiver. He can run deep routes and short routes extremely well, has the ability to create separation and give his quarterback an open target. If you look up his highlights, they're filled with him dominating jump balls. He was a Biletnikoff finalist in 2019, the award for the best wide receiver in the country, but unfortunately lost that to Jerry Jeudy. He's received comparisons to pro guys like Tyler Lockett, Stephon Diggs, and more recently Brandon Ayuk. He's great after the catch, creates on his own, and has the ability to score on each and every play. He balances out his speed with an ability to break through arm tackles, and I cannot wait to see what he can do at the pro level.
Thanks, Kyle. Let's check in with Matthew Walters.
I'm going to go with De'Ami Brown. I think he is a great receiver that isn't getting enough love. He's not the fastest guy on the field. Doesn't look like he has just breakaway speed from people, but he's always open off his routes. He can catch in traffic. He can catch while getting hit. Stuff you love to see going into the next level.
Thanks, Matthew. Up next is Blair Perot from the Rule of 3 pod.
My player to keep an eye on outside of the first round in this year's Dynasty draft is Memphis running back Kenneth Gainwell. He's a dynamic playmaker out of the backfield with incredible receiving chops. He was so good last year at Memphis that he was ahead of Antonio Gibson on the depth chart, and we all know how that turned out for him. He comps to players like CMC, Alvin Kamara, and Aaron Jones. Smaller backs who can still carry the load, but also have incredible ability receiving out of the backfield or in the slot. He's dynamic enough that he can be all over the field or be your feature back. If you can snag him in the second round, that's a huge success.
Yeah, Kenny Gainwell is definitely high up on that list. Let's check in with the Devi Dirtbag.
This is a guy you need to get on your teams in the second round, is Kenny Gainwell, and I can't guarantee he will be there in the second round in 1 QB leagues, but in super flexes, he should definitely be there. This dude had 282 touches in 2019. Now, what's interesting about that is Antonio Gibson was on that same Memphis team and had 71 touches, so Memphis coaches felt the need to give Kenny Gainwell 211 more touches than Antonio Gibson received. So let that sink in. Gainwell is not built like a workhorse, but this kid is an electric athlete. He's such a good receiver. He could realistically play slot. He gives me Austin Eckler vibes. If he's deployed correctly, I see no reason he doesn't have top 12 running back upside, especially in PPR scoring.
Jared?
So the rookie outside of the first round in 2021 rookie drafts for me, I'm going to go a little bit deeper this year. And this is a guy that we really haven't seen in the top 4 rounds in most 2021 rookie mock drafts, but that's Jermaine Martin. He is a guy that strikes me a lot like James Robinson. Played at a historically black college at North Carolina A&T, and he just dominated. And he did everything pretty well. 151 carries for 1,245 yards and 20 touchdowns. That's an 8.3 yard per carry average. He's just the type of guy in this new NFL where they're just cycling running backs through. He's got a big build. He can catch the ball. He reminds me a little bit of Marshawn Lynch. He's a guy that in your 4th round, if you're not really all that into what's left, he's worth taking a shot on if he's still available.
Well, that's definitely a handful of players that we are going to keep a lookout. Don't forget to acquire 2nd round picks, 3rd round picks in all of your trades. Try to get something thrown in. Always go for a little bit more. Now, it's time for tags. So, gentlemen, let the riders know where they can find you and any final thoughts that you have. Ryan?
You can find me on Twitter at the Devi Dirtbag, also on Reddit user, the Devi Dirtbag. And yeah, it's been a hell of a last 2 years, 100 episodes. That's, a lot of podcasts don't make it halfway there, and we're still going. So that's it's something to be proud of. It's an accomplishment, and I'm looking forward to seeing how this thing evolves into the future.
Awesome. Thanks, man. Couldn't have done it without you. Michael Kloss.
Yeah, I echo those same sentiments. You can find me at Michael S. Kloss on Twitter. And again, always a thank you. I think, again, Rider Dynasty is headed for big things. But if you give me just maybe 30 seconds, I think, 2020's taught us a lot, right? And into 2021, I think it's really important, really, especially in the fantasy community, that you should follow people and get help from people, whether that's fantasy help or mental help or whatever, that make your life better. Like, don't engage in stupid Twitter stuff. Like, again, follow Rider Dynasty, follow content that helps you, that makes you think positive thoughts, that puts you in a better headspace. That's what they are out here trying to do. So, again, it's always a year, and you guys, I think, make things better. It's a year of positivity in 2021. So thank you so much for having me on, and appreciate the listeners.
Man, your contributions have meant so much to me over the years, your feedback. I value everything that I've learned from you, Michael. Thank you so much for coming on tonight.
It was an honor.
Mr. Braun.
You can find me on Twitter, as always, at Eric Braunmower, for more Penn State Homer takes if you didn't get enough from my Parsons rant.
Jared?
You can find me on Twitter at UnstuckInTime82 or on Reddit at UnstuckInTime82. JJ, Ryan, Michael, thanks for having us on, and congratulations on 100 episodes on Rider Dynasty. Just a fantastic accomplishment. Couldn't be more proud of you guys, and can't wait to see what's in store going forward for this site.
Brendan.
I'm on Twitter at BCTaffe. That's TAFFE with an E at the end there. Just keep wearing your mask, people.
Absolutely. Kyle Allen.
You can find me at KAllen_4. Thank you guys for all of your listens, your shares, your tweets, all of your encouragement during this journey, and congratulations to the Rider Dynasty team on episode 100.
Thanks, Kyle. Don?
Yeah, as you guys know, I choose happiness, so I stay off of social media. But if you need anything, you are more than welcome to tell the guys, and they will be more than happy to share it with me on air and exclusively live so I can get my immediate reaction, which will be nothing but love, I assure you, with a few odd hand gestures. But seriously, folks, we're nearing the finish line here. Vaccines are starting to go out, but the world's not ready to go back yet. Continue to be good to people. Continue to check in on your friends. And thank you so much for giving us the platform that we enjoy.
Thank you, Don. I'm at JJ Wenner. 100, that is quite a number. Doesn't seem that big, but the effort to get there is incredible. And we have quite a crew backing us all up. Thank you to my co-hosts, Eric and Don, the guys on the Rule of Three pod, Jared, Brendan, and Blair, Kyle and his injury news, our writers, Duncan, Matthew, Josh, Connor, Blake, Willis, and Nick Mirabito. Thanks for joining us for a brief moment. And of course, my co-founders, Ryan and Michael. Thank you for everything. Now, most of all, thank you to all of our listeners and our readers. Your support means everything to us. If you could, do us a favor, tell somebody else about us. We thank you for your support. And from all of us to all of you, be safe, be well, and as always, boat drinks, my friends, boat drinks.